Hello, listeners and viewers. I'm Joseph from ZUMA. Our team works in the wonderful world of recruitment for analytics, insights, and data, supporting tech startups and scale-ups and data professionals in the Berlin region. Today's topic on the Data for Good podcast is the importance of having a data-driven culture in business decision-making. And to help me with that today, I'm joined by Korcan Komili. Korcan is head of data science at Meditopia, the globally recognized mental health and well-being app to help you reduce stress and sleep better. He too is based in Berlin. Welcome, Korcan. How are you today?
Well, thank you. I'm all good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Yeah, really good. How was my intro?
Well, it was quite nice. And I would like to add thanks for having me. Uh,
Welcome.
yeah.
Very, very welcome. And with that, Korcan, how about as a way of an introduction to you, tell us how did you first get into the world of data?
Well, I've started my journey in an agricultural company.
Okay.
Uh, well, we had this project such as soil analysis, greenhouse solutions, and one of the projects that I felt the most proud was about giving recommendations to farmers based on the weather forecasting and satellite image data.
Mhm.
Uh, then I realized how powerful the data projects could be because I actually interacted with those farmers. Some of them personally called me to thank our team for the effort. Uh, well, from that day forth, I knew that I wanted to be in the data industry, really.
Mm. That's really interesting, particularly that industry, the farming industry, a very old, very traditional
Yeah.
industry, and how software engineering and data has helped that industry to evolve. I think about there were news stories in the UK where I'm originally from about John about a certain brand of tractors and how the owners of these tractors are not able to repair them or program any of the systems on them. It has to be centralized. All the data and all the engineering is so that industry is high tech now, and seemingly you've been a big part of that as well, and it's been a big part of your evolution.
That is correct. Agricultural tech companies has started to rise once again uh,
Yeah.
for the last years, I believe,
Mm.
because well, the current situation of the world as it is upon us, and being productive on uh, making food, on water, these are becoming more and more important day by day, I believe.
Mm. Mm. Great. And today's topic about embedding a data-driven culture into business decision making, I think about the average person. They say we make around 30,000 decisions every single day.
Okay.
Yeah, well, the obviously micro decisions as well as those big ones. And when I think about businesses, it can be a mixture of decisions based on data and often decisions based on gut or gut feeling. So why do you believe it's so important to embed a data-driven culture into business decision making?
The short answer is definitely would be very easy it's very straightforward to be successful.
Mm.
But it would be fine. It would be nice to start with discussing about the levels of being data driven. Because as you said, the first level is the gut feeling. So the approach of I believe. So you're running your business, you're making your all decisions based on your gut feeling. And at this level, we wouldn't be talking much about the data. The second level would be the data literacy. I believe at this level, we know how to read our current data, existing data. We have all the fancy dashboards. We can generate insights from those dashboards. In other words, this is the descriptive analytics. And from the second to third level, there are many different layers in between, but it would be nice to talk about the concept of data as a product, because this means actually making sure that all the actions we take can be explorable, can be understandable, and the most importantly, measurable. This makes a difference when we are approaching to a new problem or a new idea. For me, being data-driven is more related to the concept of data as a product, because data becomes more valuable when we are populating them, not just reading them. And it's crucial to talk about the importance of historical data, because when you're developing something new, and if you cannot store the data correctly, then there is no way to go back in time and then fix it to make it full historical again. It's going to be very challenging for data teams if you do not have the data, really.
Mm-hmm. So must work with data products and ensure that data is stored in an adequate, high quality and accurate way.
Yeah. This is more on the technical side, and I believe there is a psychological aspects to being data driven, because we as human beings are more tend to feel emotionally attached to the ideas we come up with. So if you're data driven enough, then it can help you to avoid impulsive actions, and you can be more conscious about when you should be moving forward, when you should be changing directions, or basically stop. And we know many company failures, big ones, just because of insisting on bad decisions. And also
data bias, would that relate nicely into that whole different topic as well?
Yeah. And when you start talking about the big companies such as like Amazon, Spotify, Facebook, Google, these are the ones that leverage the data the best, the most, and we know all of them by heart, really.
Yeah, and they seem to be doing it very, very well. If my recommendations were anything to go by at the moment on Spotify and Netflix.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the psychological element there, and I work in the domain of people for data. So when you're as a leader in data science, when you're bringing people into your teams, what considerations do you make? What character, personal, cultural factors do you consider in hiring these people into a data team?
As a generic answer to this, we can say soft skills. This soft skills can have many sub layers, but I believe it's the most important characteristics when you meet someone from the data industry.
So what soft skills then?
Well, it's about being in the community. It's about understanding the business dynamics, asking the right questions to find the patterns, the trends, and explanation, and like above all, being able to communicate your insights. One day, my all-time favorite mentor, Gustav Lindquist, who is an ex-Spotify, by the way,
Okay.
told me that I should be careful when sharing an insight or sharing an information because it's kind of a form of an art. You need to be precise, understandable, reachable, and you must be avoiding all the mumble jumble. Uh, so being able to convey the message is such an important thing because we are in a community with all the business stakeholders. The data
Mm,
is not just the technical side. By its nature, it's very well integrated to the business domains, and
mm.
being able to speaking their language is critical.
Well, to sum up what you're saying about having the business or commercial awareness and being able to relate to people and understand different, I guess, commercial departments. You mentioned the technical side there. Which do you believe is more important, the soft skills or the technical side? The technical skills, I should say.
I think it's finding the balance. So, without technical background, it is not possible to survive in data industry. So, assuming that you have to analyze, I don't know, 10 million records, right?
Mm,
Excel is not your friend at that level. And then you have to be able to consider all the different aspects of data fetching, cleaning, and formatting. Then you can put some analysis on top of it. So of course it requires in-depth technical backgrounds and knowledge, but
mm,
it wouldn't be sufficient only if you have the technical side, technical aspects. If you cannot communicate your findings, if you cannot understand the dynamics, or if you're not in alignment with the business, then, well, meaning like if you have no soft skills, uh, then uh, it wouldn't be sufficient because at the end of the day, we're not here for building the most complex models or the fanciest dashboards. We are here to solve business problems. And if your solution or if your approach is not solving any problem, then it wouldn't be adding any value.
mm. Being able to solve the business problems. Okay. So extending that further, you're hiring people with the right soft skills and sorry, the right balance of soft versus technical skills
Yeah.
into your data teams. So considering that data-driven decision making, how do you integrate those data teams into your business?
Good question. Well, again, we're not here to do all the fancy stuff. We are here to find some solutions to some business problems. We are here to create platforms, tools, and applications for better decision making.
Mm,
But to be able to do this, we have to put ourselves in the shoes of our stakeholders. We have to be in alignment with their daily challenges. We have to have the business acumen. Any analytic solution without the context would be the dusty book in the library that no one ever reads. So, well, in order to prevent this, at Meditopia, really, we are encouraging target and purpose-specific developments and prioritizations within the team. And we organize collaborative sessions with business teams whenever and wherever possible, because interacting with them helps us to see the challenges, the
mm,
problems, and what they focus on.
mm,
And upon that, we are holding brainstorming sessions for practice of business-centric data reading. You can put the data in some place, but how you read it is a different topic. And you need the business know-how, the domain knowledge, as an element to on top of it. And I think each member of the team should be able to follow what they work on, like the purpose of their outputs, the dynamics of the industry, and last but not least, the changing strategies of the company. This is what we are trying to encourage in the team.
That's excellent. That's telling me that Meditopia is truly integrating data teams into the business. How about business cultures integrating themselves into data teams? There's this idea that data teams are a service to the business and not truly integral to it. So I'm wondering about integrating business culture or integrating business stakeholders into the culture and understanding of data teams. Does it work both ways? And
Well,
if so,
I think
how?
so. It's not, of course, it's not one-way ticket. Well, but it's challenging as the other way around, right? So I think the first prerequisite would be having stakeholders who are enthusiastic about data, and that's rule number one. But if you're lucky enough, then I think it's all about open communication. It's about being involved in the business operations, challenging the business decision makers about the ongoing structure, about the important strategies. And at the end of the day, it's all about caring. And because you need to understand what's really going on to be able to challenge the ideas from data perspective. So it's not just data teams in the business, but business needs to be able to ask the questions the data teams to be challenged, and to provide this, the data teams, like it's two-way ticket.
Yeah, lots of back and forth
Yeah,
consulting one another.
yeah, definitely. And then and then after some point, you are attending, you're starting a meeting which is supposed to be like, I don't know, 5 minutes, and then after 1 hour or something, then you're exhausted but also fulfilled with all the brainstorming. Like 5-minute meetings goes to 1 hour meetings because you go really deep dive into the questions, into the right questions, and then it's like back and forth feedbacks.
I see. With that, asking the right questions, doing the right things, how can companies, what are the right methods for companies to best leverage data teams to help them do exactly what data teams do, reduce costs, increase revenue? How can companies best leverage data teams to do this?
I think, like you've said a very nice thing. So data teams are mainly considered to be the service providers, but instead of a stakeholder. So I believe integrating them from the beginning of all the process would be the best choice, so that they can challenge the ideas from data perspective, or we can build stuff with this standpoint. Because sometimes it can be a little bit too late, because before you lose a lot of money, or before you lose the chance of saving money. One day, when I was working in one of my previous companies, someone asked me a question. Like, it boggled my mind. I wasn't sure about the answer. So I started playing around with the data. So after 2 or 3 hours later, then I found a fraud situation. Apparently, there was a loophole in the system, and one client figured it out, cracked the code before us. And I was like, oh, I can't believe my eyes. And, it's so bad. And this was approximately around $500,000 per year. So it wasn't a small budget. But
Right.
then, but then I dived into it even more. And as a side note, I would like to talk about how I did it. It's not about the fancy machine learning algorithms and everything. It's just the exploratory data analysis. And I would love to emphasize SQL is your best friend. And then later on, we developed the system accordingly so that this kind of fraud situations can never be repeated again. And meantime, we were flagging all the stakeholders and all the development team, and to avoid, anything in the future, anything like this in the future. We were emphasizing on the impact analysis when we are developing new stuff, and the results can be severe.
So the solving of that problem helped you create new processes moving forward. Did I understand that correctly?
Yeah, again,
Interesting.
So we had to come up with something new that has no loopholes, and then you have to step back and then think what you've done so far. And the importance, like the severity of your results, of the results of your actions would be very important. It was by far the hardest project that I worked on in that company, but I'm even today I'm still happy about the results.
Fantastic. When I think about where this conversation has gone about data-driven business decision making, I had thought that we were going to be talking a lot more about data systems and data processes, but actually we've been talking about how we approach things and how we educate people and how we integrate people into different teams to have an understanding as to the commercial challenges that lie ahead. Yeah, very interesting. Very, very interesting.
Thank you. It's all about the mindset. It's about switching the mindset to something new. I know all the people out there in the startups is trying to do their best to build the business, but after some point, after taking some steps, then we need to understand how we want to scale things up, and data is the fundamental of scaling up, I believe.
Well, we've seen time and time again, similar with my own business. It's about gut feeling and instinct and putting that into play. And as you say, with scale ups, it's about using the data that you've gathered to make the right decisions moving forward. Awesome. Awesome. Well,
Great.
thanks for that. A bit of an education for me there. And yeah, I have no further questions.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm thinking, for the benefit of podcast viewers and listeners, if people have questions, comments, feedback, can I point them in the direction of your LinkedIn instant messaging?
Great. Yeah, sure. It will be great.
Awesome. Awesome. Korcan, thank you very much. Really appreciate it today.
Thanks a lot. Have a great day. And since this is Friday, have a great weekend.
Awesome. Yeah, to you too. Thanks.
Bye.
And see you next time. Ciao.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao.